And when I learned to cut those out and put more focus into 3 to 5 is kind of my sweet spot rather than 8 to 9, those things grew. And I was able to learn to kind of cycle them through and have a balance between all of them. So one, I'm not getting bored just doing the same thing, but two, I give them enough attention that they are growing month after month.
Hey, what's going on, everybody on YouTube and iTunes? Steve Raiken here. Welcome to episode number 23 of the Raiken Profit Show. Today we have a really cool show, and we're here with Charles and his spouse Trista, and we're going to be talking about how to build multiple side incomes or side hustles online. So what's going on, Charles and Trista? Good to have you here.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
Thanks for having us.
So you guys may or may not recognize these two troublemakers. They actually have a very popular YouTube channel, Side Hustle Pros. They're on Instagram. They have a crazy, huge, popular Facebook group as well, which we'll talk about. But yeah, why don't you guys share kind of your story, how you got started making money online, building up these multiple side hustles and whatnot. And then you can even share like how you guys are actually working together, which I think is really cool.
It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, it's different from... I don't know. Go ahead. You can talk about it first.
The whole entrepreneurship thing kind of stemmed from my career is as a massage therapist, which now I'm at that transition of getting out of. So as a massage therapist, I was working for these, big fancy spas. They had control of my schedule, the typical 9 to 5, right? Loved what I did, but did not love my environment or a boss tell me what to do. So from there, I ended up starting up my health and fitness business online. So I went through my own little personal transformation. Steve's gone through his, so he gets it when we talk about the fitness stuff. And from there, once I started developing that side income, ended up quitting that job. And for the first time, it was July 14th, 2014. And kind of crazy ballgame after that because I started renting my own space, working on my own massage clients. I learned real quick that it's a little different when I show up to my workspace and the clients aren't already booked for me. That was the biggest difference between a job and working for myself. I had to go do the marketing. I had to do all of it myself. So there was a huge learning curve throughout that. And over time, I just fell in love with the idea of having multiple side incomes because as a massage therapist, I had my down season during the summer because everyone's out busy. And then as a health and fitness coach, nobody needs help during Q4, right? Holidays. So I had these huge shifts in my income where we'd be dirt broke some months.
Yeah.
Then other months we had a surplus. I'm like, how can I fill these gaps? And that's when I went to a little seminar here in Portland and learned about Amazon and eBay. And I just got home and got to work.
He did. I was like, he kept telling me, like, I'm going to make this a thing. Just watch. And I thought, okay, like, we'll see. This sounds like a scam, but it really worked out. So. Yeah. We are.
And throughout that process, it was 3 weeks into it, I had like $1,500 in gross sales. I was so pumped. And I had a background of creating fitness videos on YouTube. And I thought, well, I know how to do YouTube and people want to see what we're doing now. So I just started documenting the process. So I did at the time when it was a little bit lenient on Amazon, we were doing liquidation and pallets. So I was doing unboxing videos and then people are like, well, how do you do your first shipment? I'm like, well, I'm not going to charge you like some of these coaches do. So I'm just going to put out the video and show you step by step how to create an Amazon shipment. And that was the video that just that thing just put us on the map.
Yeah. And crazy, man.
That was nuts. So I fell in love with the YouTube side too. And just like, how it goes, Steve. It's like you get these comments and these messages of people. It's like, hey, because of your video, I got inspired to do blank. Like that just makes it so worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's cool. So you went to this little eBay Amazon seminar. Were they trying to pitch you on like a high-end course? How'd you get out of there alive? That's the first question.
So I was fortunate. These guys were not as cutthroat as some of them can be. They definitely pushed. I actually they had like their little softwares that they had. They had their $40,000 coaching mentoring package.
Oh, wow.
They like fly you out to Vegas and whatever. So I was sold on this $2,000 little program that they had. Because I was brand spanking new. I didn't even know what Amazon FBA meant. when I went into there. I still had the consumer mentality of if I buy from Amazon Prime, I'm buying from Amazon. I didn't know there was third-party sellers. So I was that new. So I went in there, and they're pitching this program. It's like, yeah, we'll show you how well something is selling on Amazon. We'll show you the sales history. We'll show you this, this, and this for $2,000. And I had put down the $100 deposit, and then I called Trista, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, she's going to kill me. And I told her, I'm like, she hates these words out of my mouth because it happens a lot. Just trust me.
Yeah.
I said, there's this program. Give me 30 days. I'm going to make $2,000. I got home that Monday, went out and started scanning, and I learned about Keepa, Camel, all these sales charts that show you the same data that these guys were going to charge $2,000 for, and they're free. And so I called them up and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay this $2,000. It's something I'm not interested in. And of course, they tried to pull the like, well, you already put down your deposit. It's automatically going to go through. So I closed out that card and just got a new one. And that was kind of my, yeah. So they weren't big sharks, but they were definitely pushy.
Yeah, I mean, that's, oh, you can go, Trista.
No, I was just going to say, like, there's so much information on the internet. So, like, we always go in with, I mean, like, any information you consume, you know, it's probably on the internet for free somewhere. You know, you just have to look for it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, one thing I always say is, you know, I think programs and courses are great for a certain type of person, but for most people out there, let's just be honest, like, you know, I've talked to thousands of, you know, people who want to start making side hustles and start making money online. Most people, when they get started, and feel free to disagree, but most people are somewhat broke or only have a couple $100s to spare. You know, most people are already kind of in the grind where all the money that comes in, they're paying bills. So they don't really have a lot of money to invest in different things. And my philosophy has always been, if you don't have a lot of money, you typically have more time. So spend your time researching and making mistakes. Whereas, for example, say somebody has, you know, 50 grand in the bank, $2,000 is really nothing to them, and they're going to save all that time, and they're going to learn a bunch of shortcuts because, you know, doing things on your own and watching free videos on YouTube, it's good and it's bad as well. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, you started like researching on your own. How were you able to decipher what was good information, what was bad information? Like, how are you able to start getting results, you know, without a coach or without a program?
It was literally trial and error. And that's the one part that I think most new people don't want to go through because they don't want to make the mistakes because mistakes suck. And we, especially when we have to go through them often. But Steve and I were just talking before we started recording, but I only saw 3 channels and Steve was one of them. So I started watching the videos and there's a couple Amazon videos. And at the time, I think you're just eBay focused. So there's a lot of eBay knowledge coming in. That took me some time, and she'll share how she talked me into eBay at one point. So I just started like consuming the bare bones minimum that I needed to actually just start. And I'm the type that like I like to watch information. I like to absorb the minimum I need to do it. But I'm more so like, you're going to learn more through just going through it than reading about it or doing videos about it. And it's funny. It's like Steve can probably agree here, but it's funny. It's a weird concept that we are content creators. We produce these videos and these blogs and all these things for you guys. But it's a weird flip side where we don't want you to be the type of viewer that only views. We want you to take what we put out and utilize it, implement it, and try it because it's different for everybody. So that's how I researched was I found the bare minimum information I needed, and I just got in the trenches and did it. So I fell on my face many times.
Trista, are you the same way where when you go to learn something, you'll take that bare minimum? Because there's so many people out there, and I even fell victim to this for the longest time. I was watching videos, watching, and then, you know, nothing was changing. So are you guys similar in that sense?
I probably spend a little more time in research phase, but that's why I think that we work well together. Maybe I have talked him out of a couple incidences that saved us a little bit of money in the long run. But shoes, I won't say anything else, but you know. Yeah, I spend a little more time in the research phase, but again, I think we're both really hands-on. Like, you can only watch so many videos about, you know, putting clothing up on eBay before you just have to do it. Like, nobody's going to do it for you. And yeah, so at some point there has to be some action behind your knowledge.
Especially on the Amazon side, like you know, we run FBA Rockstars, and we have a lot of new people that come in, and they're just a fly on the wall in these Facebook groups. And usually what I tell them is you're going to learn more about creating your first shipment on Amazon by creating your first shipment on Amazon, not reading about it and watching videos. Like, yeah, watch the videos, do what you need to do to research it, but at some point you got to just jump. And one of my favorite quotes is you got to jump and build your wings on the way down. You can't sit up there and try to craft the perfect structure and then take off and soar. Like, you're going to fall. Your parachute's not going to open that first time.
And a lot of people, especially with Amazon, don't realize how helpful Seller University is. Like, there's so much information. You just have to put in the time.
Yeah, there's so much out there. I mean, when it comes to e-commerce, and we could talk about your various side hustles, but I feel like it's very straightforward. Like, if you do certain things, you're going to get certain results. Now, there's a lot in between. You know, obviously, that was a very general statement, but there's a lot in between that could go wrong. But you know, in 2017, moving into 2018 with YouTube, with Facebook groups, it's literally almost impossible. This is going to sound crazy, but it's literally almost impossible to fail if you're always taking action. And then when you do get knocked down, you go for some help, maybe in a free Facebook group. You ask a question in the YouTube comments. Like, you know, there's certain things out there, like with the internet, like it's really, really easy to succeed in my eyes now, like if you take action. But most people that watch my videos, and even I've talked to other content creators who have a lot bigger followings than I do, and even like people who create courses, do you know most people who purchase a course or they watch a video, they do nothing? Like, I think it's like 98% of people do absolutely nothing. And really the big differentiator is, and I don't know what your thoughts are, is just take action. You know, don't compare yourself to these people out there. It's really easy to get down on yourself and like go into a Facebook group or watch a YouTube video and be like, wow, this guy's making like $2 million a year, which is easily possible. But it's not a competition. And as a coach, I'd like your thoughts on this. It's not a competition against the opponent. It's against yourself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, 1,000%. I just did I was in the gym, had one of those killer workouts, and I did this photo where it was like hoodie on, staring myself in the mirror. Man. I did the black and white filter on it, and I put it's you versus you. Because it's the same thing. Like I can always relate fitness stuff to business. And it's the same thing. Like, you got all these guys in the gym and you might walk in there for the first time in months and you step on the treadmill and you're looking at all these other people like, oh, well, I wish I could look like that. I wish I could do this. Like, you can't compare yourself to other people, especially in business.
Why can't you though? Trista, what are your thoughts? What happens if you start to compare yourself?
Oh my gosh. Just, I am a textbook doubter of myself, and that's a really harmful thing for your business. Like, if you look at, the person on Instagram who's always posting about her wins or, his wins or blah, 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 you start to go, well, there's something really wrong with me because I'm not making $1,000 a day. So, I must be failing. This isn't working. But in reality, it's your perspective, right? So if you are making money, you're turning a good ROI, and you're consistently putting in the effort, why is that a failure? Like, I don't understand how you could get there. But it's very easy to get there in your mind if all you do is compare yourself to how well these people are doing and how in, the difference in your business versus theirs. And the other huge component to that is that we're not all the same. We all start at a different mark. Some people start with 20,000 in capital. Some people start with 100. So you can't compare yourself because we all start the same. Our business models all look the same. No matter if you're doing, you're doing clothes and I'm doing clothes, our business models are different. And there's just so many, factors that go into your business as a whole. And so to compare yourself to someone else and say, well, Charles, we're failing because Raiken's doing much better than we are, that's just, it's not a fair statement. And it doesn't help you, certainly doesn't help you. So
that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes is, you can't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Because that's the other part too. If you try to compare yourself to someone else, you don't know what their experience is.
Yeah.
They may have done more trial and error than you have, right? They may have started with more capital than you have. They may have a mentor that you don't have. There's all these different factors that you have no idea.
One thing I found amongst people who are maybe, I don't know, let's just compare somebody who's making $500 a day versus $50 a day. the person who's making $500 a day is typically, they might be making 10 times more money than the person making $50 a day, but I could bet my last dollar they've failed 10 times more. What's been your guys' experience with the trajectory of success? And, we all have a different, definition of success. But in business, let's just say, the scorecard is making more money. Have you noticed that with the trajectory of increasing your profits, has it correlated with the amount of failures and increasing amount of failures as well? Or has that not been true? Because I've heard different things from different people.
Absolutely.
You want to take that? 100% true.
Like, I'm just trying to cycle through the failures and pick one, because there's been many. Like, I don't think that we're gonna sit here and tell you that, oh, we've just made a few mistakes and they've all turned out to be good in the long run. They haven't. We've lost money. We have inventory that we're sitting on that it's like, why was that a good buy at the time? Yeah, we've made mistakes. Absolutely.
I've got about 6 bins of shoes inside of our inventory room right now that I thought were great buys, because I'm a big fan of Ken the Hustlebee, if you follow him on Instagram. So he kills it on Nike, on eBay. And so I started watching his stuff. I'm like, oh, this looks like a lot of fun. I want to do it too. I've been selling a year and a half. I can do it too. So I went out and I just I swiped on every Ross and Marshalls in town. I'm like going crazy. And of course, Trista's just watching how much I'm spending. She's like, maybe you should research a little bit more. Because again, I just bare minimum, and then I jump in and learn. And yeah, we still got like 6 bins of inventory from about 4 months ago I'm sitting on.
Yeah, I'm making sure we're breaking even on them, but we're definitely not making money.
Yeah, but because of that failure, now when I go shoe hunting, I know how to look for the trends. I know how to look at the history, so I'm way more picky. And the shoes that I buy now, they're usually quick flips, and we make a profit every time. So it definitely is correlated.
Absolutely.
I love it. That's awesome. So let's chat a little bit about finding your first side hustle. Let's just say somebody's watching right now, and maybe they're coming from a 9-to-5. Maybe they work at a gym. Maybe they're a coach, or maybe they're a nutritionist. Who knows? Maybe they're working in a factory and they want to build a side hustle in the context of the internet, right? Because there's so many different side hustle options out there. How does somebody figure out kind of where to start, right? This channel's centered around reselling and e-commerce and different things like that. So, I mean, just in that little space, there's online arbitrage, private label, there's wholesales. You could go bundles. You could do sourcing from the U.S. versus Alibaba. I mean, there's Shopify, there's eBay, and then there's a million different items you could sell on eBay. It's overwhelming. I could only imagine when somebody comes to my YouTube channel and they see me talking about 50 things, they're probably thinking, is this guy on drugs? And number 2, where do I start? Because you see a lot of people who are doing so many things. Where does somebody start? What are your guys' advice on that?
I think for me, the number one thing, you have to enjoy it, no matter what it is. People always ask us, how come you guys don't do just private label or just wholesale? I love treasure hunting. Same for Trista. We love going into stores and treasure hunting. So it's something we enjoy. We love it. Which, I mean, for us on a weird level, we get to spend more time together that way too, as a couple. So we love treasure hunting. So that's something that we enjoy. And then, of course, how do we turn treasure hunting? Because there's tons of people. Like Trista's mom, for example, loves to go into thrift stores. That's why she grew up on it.
Yeah, I grew up at the bins. So I didn't know that you could make money at the bins before. We'd go every month and hang out for a few hours.
So that's an example of something that you enjoy. So how can I take treasure hunting and make money? Well, go find stuff, put it on eBay, get into Amazon with the new retail stuff. So that's kind of one little entry is find something that you enjoy and then do some research and find outlets that you can take that and start to produce a little bit of money out of it.
Do you think different people are going to have obviously different people have different personalities. So would you say that maybe people don't know if thrifting is fun or not because they've never done it. Maybe they've never done online arbitrage, but maybe they're very analytical. Maybe that would work better. Do you just start experimenting with these different things? Do you list something on eBay and ask yourself, do I enjoy this? I mean, let's dig a little deeper into that.
I think you have to, again, it goes back to find something that you love, but it takes a little bit more than just find something you love. I feel like we're put on this earth to be in community with people. And so we thrive in building communities, and reselling is a way to do that. And we love the hunt. Obviously, Charles, that's what Charles said. And so, yeah, finding what you love is really important.
And then a lot of people too, they're stuck with, well, I don't have any hobbies. I don't love anything, right? And so then it does come down to, like, my personal opinion is you have to experiment, like do that, like list something on eBay, see if you love it or hate it. I hated it in the beginning. She'll tell you, and then I finally started to enjoy it. And then, so whether it's listing something on eBay, list 10 things on eBay, sell 10 things, see if it's something you can see yourself getting into a habit with and actually enjoying. Maybe you're more Amazon, you want to get into private label and wholesale, right? That's a whole different ballgame that people love and other people don't like it. Whether it's creating a course, a YouTube channel, blog, affiliate marketing, like you got so many opportunities. And I think you won't know what you really do love until you just dive in and do it. Like,
and decide whether you like it or hate it.
Yeah.
Like if you put something up on eBay and you wait for it to sell and then it sells and you ship it and you're like, I hated that whole process. I'm not going to tell you to quit. Maybe try it a few more times, but it might not be for you.
And even down to like Steve and I, we both run YouTube channels. Like, if you told us back in the day you're going to love doing videos one day, like, I hate public speaking. There's no way I'm going to want to do that. And now it's like, Steve is the same way. We love getting on stages and talking in front of people. We love producing content. Like, I never thought I would love that, but it took me getting used to it and practicing to actually get that true passion for it.
Yeah.
That's another really good point you made. I mean, you might give yourself a little bit of a chance to actually enjoy it, because for a lot of things, some people get frustrated with learning. So they might love it, but they don't love learning. So once they get over the hump of learning it, they actually might enjoy it. So you do actually have to give yourself a chance, because, just again with the YouTube example, man, one of my first video, like, I was scared to get on camera. Like, I hated my voice. I would always point the camera the other way. Like, I would make these 3-minute videos. It would take me 3 hours behind the scenes, and I was so nervous, and there was only like 4 people watching. But yeah, you got to give yourself a chance to succeed. And I've also found, and I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are, Trista, do you start to enjoy something when you start to have success with it versus, when, you know what I mean? When you first start something, you're going to fail. You're not going to have good results,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's easier to do something over and over again when you see a good result. Nobody wants to go to the gym and then find that they've gained 10 pounds over the month. Like, that's a bummer. But yeah, I mean, like, put in the time and effort long enough to get a couple wins and see how that feels. And then, go from there, make your decision on whether this is a good place for you to be, or if you need to find something, else. Like, we're always talking about reselling, but some people just hate to buy and sell things, so maybe you're a blogger, maybe you love to write, or maybe you're a content creator of some kind, like, our molds are not going to fit everyone. So give it a chance, though, like you said.
Yep.
Charles, I got a question. Do you happen to be a Gemini?
I'm actually a Leo.
Leo. Because I was actually looking into my sign, and a Gemini likes to kind of jump around, gets very bored easily. Okay, and I've noticed over the last 5 years that I like to have lots of different side hustles, because I just enjoy a lot of different things. I get bored easily. What's your advice, guys, when it comes to having one hustle versus having 5 or 6 or 7 different hustles? Because it's not that I'm a master of none, but I've always gotten pretty good at a lot of different things instead of becoming the best at one thing. And to be honest, that's just how I enjoy it. That's how I thrive. I've tried to do one thing only, and I just get bored of life. And I think life is too short to not do what you love. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Having going all in with one thing versus a bunch of different things. And also some context is, do you have to spend a lot of time on one thing before you move on to the next thing, or should you start multiple things at once? I know that's a freaking huge question.
No, this is something I'm really, really passionate about talking about, because I fell into the trap of too much on my plate throughout all of 2016. And anyone who's seen my presentations or anything like this is something I talk about because it's something I experienced. I tried to tack on so many side hustles throughout 2016. I think at one point I was up to 8 or 9 different streams of income. And just because I say streams of income doesn't mean every one of them is producing money, right? So there was a lot
Just
of
streams.
yeah, just streams. If you look,
Dry streams.
yeah, if you look at it on a piece of paper, like, oh, he runs 8 businesses, but if you dive deeper, you'll see like, oh, he's putting in 10 hours a week on this one that makes $100 a week. Like, that's not worth my time. So I spent all of 2016 spreading myself way too thin because I'm the exact same. I get super bored just doing the same thing over and over and over. And so I love to have multiple streams, plus going back to like my original route of massage and fitness, and I needed that third stream of income to balance it out. So that's why I love to do it. But 2016, like, I hit a bad spot. I put on 30 pounds. I got so bad with like stress, and I've got anemia as well. So I started having like heart palpitations. I blacked out a couple times, just weird health stuff going on. And it was all just because I was spreading myself so thin. So I did have to pull back from a few side hustles. They were projects I was really wanted to make work, and I loved them, and even down to like massage clients, that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to let massage clients go, because that was a very, very passionate business that I had, especially with that level of helping people. And when I learned to cut those out and put more focus into 3 to 5 is kind of my sweet spot rather than 8 to 9, those things grew. And I was able to learn to kind of cycle them through and have a balance between all of them. So 1, I'm not getting bored just doing the same thing, but 2, I give them enough attention that they are growing month after month.
Wow. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I had a similar experience. It was, hopefully I'm getting the dates correct, but I believe it was late 2016. And right now I'm weighing in at about 180, but at the time I'd floated up to about 210 pounds, and I started having like panic attacks, and I was like going crazy working. And the thing with eBay and Amazon is, one of the downsides is you could kill yourself doing it, because it just, it could never end. And I was just going crazy with YouTube and eBay and Amazon, and just, I was doing a million things, and like I was gaining weight, I was stressed out, and like my life, like it got really, really bad for a short period of time. And I just want to share that story because I can relate, and it can get stressful and overwhelming. So you do have to be smart with your time as well. And, even, in your situation too, you have a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a kid,
3-year-old,
a wife. I mean, building a business isn't easy. I want to put that out there. And managing multiple income streams isn't easy, because when you're building up these income streams, you're building on top of all the other things you're already doing in life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely,
So what was the number one learning lesson from that experience is you need to really be smart about not jumping in so easily into everything, taking everything onto your plate, really being smart?
Yeah, I think it came down to 2 things. 1 was my health. It's funny. It's like, as a health and fitness coach, you would think I would have my shit together, but I don't. So it was my health was number 1. I had to put me first, whether that was personal development, reading and good books, doing yoga, meditation, going to the gym, cleaning up my diet, all these things that tie into a healthy mindset, because mindset's everything. So that was number 1, is making myself a priority again, because if my cup is empty, I can't pour into other people, right? Especially as content creators, like we pour ourselves into other people, not just flipping products. Number 2 was learning to use the word no. I'm a people pleaser at heart, and it's extremely tough for me to say no to people. And now, like, even I just had to say no to a couple projects recently where I'm like, oh, I feel bad because I had to say no, but I know myself well enough through that 2016 experience that if I pile on too much on my plate, I'm going to get stressed and overwhelmed, and it's probably not going to grow that great. So yeah, those are kind of the top 2, is just taking myself back a little bit and making myself a priority, because without your health, you have nothing. Like, I don't care how many millions you do in sales, like, your health is everything, right? What good is doing 10 million a year if you feel like crap all the time? Number 2 is just saying no. You've got to know where your strengths are, go in with those, and you can't focus on all of it at once.
There is no better feeling than feeling good and healthy. I'll tell you that right now. There is nothing better. I mean, this year alone, I've lost 30 pounds, hired a personal trainer, and my income doubled in 2017 and compared to 2016. And, I'm a part of a couple masterminds, and they asked me, Steve, you work, what's funny? I worked about half the amount of time that I worked in 2017 versus 2016, and I made twice as much money. And I think the number one thing is my health, because I was able to think sharper. I made smarter decisions. I said no to a lot of things. And I was making sure that I was climbing up the right ladders as well, which is important because when you start to build up those side hustles, like you were saying, certain things you might be putting 10 hours in and you're only getting, a little bit back. So you have to be smart. Trista, do you have to manage Charles? Do you have to tell him sometimes, like, hey, listen, like, you're putting too much time into this right here? Like, we're not getting...
I do. I have to tell him to settle down often. And another
need
thing
that.
I was thinking also just maybe not necessarily saying no, but I noticed that one of the things he did that really helped his business, our business, and then just him personally, was delegating.
That was huge.
After that space, he decided we got a personal assistant. She took over a lot of the day-to-day mundane things that he didn't need to do, but that were cluttering his brain, like we all have these things that are like, floating around in the middle of all the important stuff, and it's like, if you can get rid of those things that don't matter. So we hired a personal assistant, and then we hired, I think at the time it was just one VA. We have 2 VAs now.
Yep. And
so recognizing that you can't do it all and get someone to help you is huge, absolutely huge. My mother-in-law was doing our laundry for a little while because I couldn't find the time. So, take that for what it's worth. People are there around you willing to help you. Our family wants to see us succeed in our business, and they're willing to help out where they can. So I guarantee if you have family or, just really good friends around you, people love you and want to help you, so whatever you want to take that. But I do have to tell Charles to settle down.
I'm going to have to change this title of this video to Build a Side Hustle by Outsourcing Your Laundry.
Yeah, there you go.
So let's talk. What are some of your favorite side hustles that you guys are actually running right now in 2017? And then maybe you can talk about, do you have any plans for building any more side hustles in 2018 or eliminating some?
I want to grow eBay out a lot more than it is. So that's my main project. We have a couple of Facebook groups, one in particular that's just been like crazy rewarding. It's smaller, so we have like this big group, and then this is a smaller group that we cap the members at just to keep it small so that people know each other and build relationships. And so there's just been a really great exchange of information there. So that's been super rewarding.
Yeah. It's weird. You probably have the same thing, because I find that those of us with multiple hustles, we cycle through which ones we're like into at the moment, right?
Yes. I was just having a conversation about this the other day. It's like seasons.
It is. It's totally seasons. So like right now, in this moment of time, it's been Amazon, because I've been hustling the crap out of toys. The hot toys of the year, I was all up on that. I hired sourcers to go pick them up for me around town, all that kind of stuff. So mine has been Amazon has been like my pride and joy lately. But I'm getting ready to drop getting back into health and fitness coaching. And Steve and I were talking a little bit about this, because it's something that was one of the big things I had to say no to for myself. Was I had to put health and fitness coaching, because it's the video chats and coach people online. It takes time to put together programs. It was a lot of time I needed to put back into Amazon, eBay to grow those first. So I had probably a good 6-month hold on that, and I'm just now getting ready to open that back up to clients, and we're doing a test group right now for a program. So that for me is going to be a huge focus. It's something I'm like, it's weird. Like I haven't been this excited. I've been a coach for 9 years in health and fitness. I haven't been this excited in a long, long time about doing it. So I'm really excited to get that going again.
If you guys had to each name one of your biggest mistakes that you've made while building these various side hustles, just one each. Who should we start with? Who should I put on the hot seat? Eeny, meeny, miny. Trista.
Mistakes. I would say at the beginning, I maybe quit my job a little prematurely. We had a little bit.
So dumb.
That was so dumb.
Like, we're just gonna be raw with you, right? We didn't have a savings account.
And
you quit your job.
Yeah, he was making a little bit of money, and I just hated my job so much that it was like, okay, we'll do this. And I would have Looking back, it would have been a little smarter to hang on, even though I hated it, hang on a little bit longer to just have that cushion. We struggled the first couple, like really the first 6 months, and because we struggled, we weren't putting every dime back into our business. We were pulling out money to live on. It discourages me a little bit to think where our business would be if we hadn't had to do that. But, it's in the past and we learn from it and we talk about it often, so maybe people won't make that same mistake. Yeah, that would definitely be my big one.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to touch base on is, yeah, we're using reselling to pay the bills. So we weren't able to roll everything back in how we should have, because we would have been doing 10 times what we're doing right now, right? We're 2 years into this, and it's funny, it's like the comparison game, right? I run into other resellers like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years and we just hit 1 million. And I'm over here like, I should be at that 1 million mark right now, right? So I find that myself doing that comparison game too. So that was the biggest mistake that we did make was, it's weird, it's a double-edged sword. Because you quit too soon, we had our backs against the wall, so we had no choice but to make it work. So that's a good thing. That gave us huge motivation. But on the flip side, like we should have played a little bit smarter. But yeah, roll everything back into your business. If we're talking about reselling, like 100% of your business money needs to go back into product. 100%. Like I don't care if you have to get a part-time job to pay your bills, create other side incomes to pay the bills, like do something that covers your bases and then use your reselling money to just resell with. Like I wish we can go back and do that again.
What would you guys say is one routine or ritual that you practice every day that you couldn't live without, that you feel is a contributor to your success in not only business but life? Start with you, Charles.
Gym and reading. Again, some people think it's selfish to like go to the gym every day for an hour and a half. There's a lot of times where it like interrupts something that we may be doing. I'm like, babe, sorry, but I gotta go. Like, and she now understands it. It took us years to get on a comfort level we have now and understanding, but she now understands like that's my therapy. Like that's my outlet. I need that time to focus. Now, it's not just go to the gym to get buff, but like I need that time for this. That's my mentality. Now with that, whether it's watching YouTube videos or reading, but personal growth books, right? There's audio, you can do whatever you want, but just personal development in general. Those are like my two big things I do every day, and I can't skip it.
Do you have one of your favorite self-development books that you could recommend, or something maybe
Compound Effect? Yeah, Compound Effect is
Darren Hardy.
Darren Hardy.
Yeah,
yep,
he's with Success Magazine. That's a great book.
Yep. That one was, it's funny, that was my first book I read, and it's still the one that changed my life the most because it talks about the simple, it's this big, guys, you can read it in a day. But the thing behind that is small daily choices and actions compound effect into a larger result. So everyone is always waiting for this big event to happen as the big success. The success doesn't happen that way. It's the small daily choices and actions that build up to it. So, I again, fitness. If you eat 100, in his book, you probably read it. So in his book, he gives the example of like 135 calories. If you just eat 135 calories extra per day, day by day, you're not seeing any difference. Like you're looking in the mirror, looking down, like, oh, nothing's changing. I'm good. But then 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, those 135 calories turn into thousands and turns into 20 pounds, 50 pounds. You're like, well, how did this happen? And you're trying to pinpoint it on one event. And it wasn't one event. It was the small daily choices. So that whole book and that premise, it changed the way I thought.
Have you ever read the book Slight Edge?
Yes. Olson, right? Jeff Olson.
Yeah, like those two books like kind of go hand in hand. It's just I'm glad you brought that up. What are your thoughts, Trista, on maybe one routine or ritual that you practice every day that has led to your success, or something you just can't live without?
I love just a good old-fashioned paper planner. What my week's gonna look like and my goals, and then I put them in the slots that I have open. We have childcare 3 days of the weekday, so I have to plan my week pretty meticulously to get everything done that needs to be done. We have help with eBay. We have hired someone to help with eBay, but there's still lots of things that I do. I'm still the only one building listings and making listings active. I try to get out and thrift twice a week. There's just a lot. So if you leave everything to a whim and think like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow when I have more time, like before you know it, Friday's here and you didn't get anything done, you know?
So you will book every, like, do you have a certain amount of hours during the day that are kind of like your do thing hours? You know, obviously you're going to have some relaxation or, you know, date night or spending time with the kids, but do you have open availability in a sense and then you mark it in your calendar? Like, how does that work? Do you write out a list of like 100 things you want to do during the week and then just plug them all in?
Basically, yeah. So the planner I use is called Passion Planner, and it has 30-minute increments. Awesome planner. It's my favorite.
I like the name.
And you just, exactly, you plug everything in. It has half an hour increments, and you just write in your whole day. Does it always happen exactly how you think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But if you have a good outline of what you want to get done in that day, and there's just something so satisfying about like marking it off, like with like, you know, a highlighter or something, like done. I don't know. It's so satisfying for me. So I just like, I love my planner.
Yeah, I do the same thing, but with whiteboards. I'm a whiteboard fiend. So we've got one that's like 6 feet long to the right of us. So that's like our business outline, our monthly goals. And then on the left side, we have a smaller whiteboard that we write our weekly tasks on.
Oh, cool.
That's another routine thing that we do is the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you guys are liking this video, do me a big favor. Not only hit the like button and leave a comment, but make sure you follow these two badass hustlers right now. They're on YouTube, Side Hustle Pros, Instagram. Is it Side Hustle Pros at Instagram as well?
Yep.
And sidehustlepros.com. So I am going to leave links to all of those things down below. Also, if you can send me some links to your Facebook groups and everything, I'll link everything up down below because, you know, I agree with Trista and Charles as well. Like, I believe that we're all here to be part of a community and help one another. And, you know, we don't have to be so worried about the competition. There's enough to go around. Work with each other, help each other out. And that's where I was really excited to bring these guys on the show because they've been really helping and giving back for a long time now. So, again, go give them a follow on YouTube, Instagram. Check out their website. Do you guys have any final words to the people who are watching and listening on iTunes?
I don't know catchphrase, guys. He has like a file folder of quotes and catchphrases in his brain. It always amazes me.
Yeah, I mean, I preach the same thing over and over because it's the one thing that people just have a hard time wrapping their head around is just jump. Like, so if you're in a position, like this targets two different audiences. So audience one, you're listening and watching all this stuff over and over and over, and you think a new YouTube channel, a different person is going to bring you some great new groundbreaking information. Like the same thing that Steven preaches, the same thing I preach, same thing other people preach too. Like it's all generally going to be around the same message. So audience one, if you're listening and watching to this, and you haven't listed on eBay, you haven't sent in an Amazon shipment, but you want to, you have to start. Like that's my tip. Like just jump. You have to start and build your wings on the way down. Audience two, you are brand new. You've done some listings. You've done some Amazon stuff, but you're hitting that point where you realize, and it's like a light switch goes off. Like this is hard. This is really, really hard. So if you're at that point where you just want to quit, it gets better as long as you keep showing up. And that's the key is consistency. Show up. We have had triple our sales the last 3 months than we did the whole last year because we got consistent. Like no joke, like we got really consistent. And not because of that consistency, we were able to get out of our garage, which we built this thing out of, and now we're in an office. It all was consistency. So if you're in that audience where you've started and you're hitting those struggle points, like you just got to get consistent.
And along with that, find people who will support you in this. You know, like there's going to be the naysayers. They're usually your family that are like, you're crazy. This isn't going to work. Yes, there are plenty of naysayers to go around. Find the people who will support you, whether it be in a Facebook group or an Instagram or, you know, just a good friend. And there are going to be some low times. You're going to need those people to lift you up and say, you can do this. Just, you know, nose to the grindstone, keep going. So that's why we love our Facebook groups. And that's why we build these communities, because we couldn't do it without them.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. So, hey, thanks again, guys, for coming on the show. Again, guys, be sure to give them a follow. Links to all of their goodies down below in the description. Charles, Trista, thank you so much for your time. Have a great Christmas. Happy holiday season. Keep kicking butt in Q4, and look forward to chatting with you guys soon. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.